by doing Roop Dhyan. And I would say a lot of people who have done that, then they get to know about a saint, then they get to know about a real, very effective method, then they go from that method to the Roop Dhyan method. So I believe that the first thing that came to my mind was, because you've done all that, you've ended up in Yugal Kunj and you are listening to these lectures because now it's time to go to a higher stage. So what you're doing cannot be wrong, but it's not everything. You have to introduce Roop Dhyan to it. But what happens largely is when you're reciting from scriptures, there's always, I don't know how you do it, but a lot of times when people recite from scriptures, they are in a hurry to do it, and there is a time limit. And so, but I think a lot of people become satisfied that I've recited from the scripture. That in itself is good enough. But it's not, and the Sundarkand has to be finished in this many hours, or that entire Ramayana has to finish in 24 hours, right? And then I have somebody said to me, so and so does very good, like she's very well known for Sundarkand recitation. So I thought she must do it very sweetly. It ended up, I saw that what happened is that she does it very fast, so that's what makes her good in people's eyes, and that's not the criterion we should use for someone. Radhe Devani. So this is it. So recitation by itself is not enough, but if you introduce Roop Dhyan into it, it's great.
Like you said, Jnana Yoga and
Exactly.
has to be attached with it.
Yes.
Just not
I'll add one more thing to it. More effective than recitation of scriptures is doing bhajans and kirtans written by saints, because that is the only method in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga keval naam adhara. So rather than just doing the recitation of that, it will help you to do Roop Dhyan if you were to sing the bhajans and kirtans like we're singing over here.
I think it's a lot easier because when you try to read scriptures, especially Sanskrit, you're like focusing on how to say that word and how to,
Yes.
the syllables and all. I think bhajans are a lot easier.
Bhajans are a lot easier, right? You're right. If you're reciting from scriptures, like Sanskrit, Gita, and then you have to know the meaning of it, so you read the meaning. But with the kirtan, sometimes it's just the name, and it's so much easier to understand. And not only that, but it's more filled with more nectar, more sweeter. It's a lot of leelas in there, and the scriptures, like in Bhagavad Gita, you're not going to get leelas. It's just pure knowledge, and that too cannot be understood unless you're guided by a guru. So that, I would say, that's a stepping stone. If you've come to that far, then go ahead and come to this another level. Start doing bhajans and kirtans. Get to know Maharajji's bhajans and kirtans, sing them, get fond, become fond of them, as you are already, I think, becoming fond.
दीदी, उसका कोई फ़ायदा होता है? जैसे रिसाइट करते हैं कुछ भी, तो बिना अंडरस्टैंडिंग के, बिना कुछ समझे गाते जा रहे हैं, कुछ फ़ायदा, उसको कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा, कुछ अंदर उसको स्पिरिचुअली वैसे कुछ मिल नहीं रहा, तो उसका कोई बेनिफिट.
So is there value in just reciting from scriptures? A lot of people have come out of, because they're putting in the time to do it, God notices that this child of mine is giving some time to do this, rather than just reading, rather than reading some worldly book, okay, she's reading the Gita or the Ramayana. So that counts for something, definitely. But I've noticed that those people, then it's not very long before, it's a matter of time before they start thinking, I need more than this. They become dissatisfied. Like, what more? Like, for instance, I go to Trinidad. Sandra and Kavita, they're from Trinidad. So what I noticed is when Maharajji sent me there for the first time, when I went there for the first time in 1988, it was quite a few years ago. So I noticed that a lot of people, people were just, Hindus there were used to reading, hearing the recitation of kathas. So people like Sandra and her family and, they're, old-time devotees, they felt, and Raj is from Trinidad, our cameraman. So they felt that it's not enough to hear the stories, and now we've got to go beyond that. Am I right? Mr. Narayan? There was dissatisfaction. A lot of people told me, well, I can do better than the Pandit. Now I've listened to so many kathas that I know them. And and then you start finding fault with the pandit because you've heard this, and this one is a good one, that one is a bad one. This one reads well, this one has a good voice, and so because it doesn't satisfy you anymore. It's you heard the stories, they're great, but now then you wonder what next. And those people, they were ready to hear the lectures, and so they did, and they were affected. So you come to a point when you're just reciting like a parrot, and then you think not enough. But that's some people have to go through that stage. Some people don't, some people do. Everybody's at their own journey, and so there is a point to it. But if someone were to start and just ask, should I do that? Then of course the answer would be, why don't you not just do that? Do Roop Dhyan. So, but if somebody's already doing it, they have an advantage now. It'll be easier for them to add Roop Dhyan to it. आप ये पीछे
महापुरुष अपने इच्छा से गोलोक और किधर जाना है उसका अवतार कार्य समाप्त होने के बाद जाते हैं। तो रामायण में ऐसा है ना कि सरयू नदी में राम और लक्ष्मण और सीता चल के गए ना, ऐसा है ना? इट इज़ ट्रू। और
सरयू में चले गए, हाँ
सरयू नदी में,
हाँ जी।
तो उस टाइम वो खुद का ये करने का आत्म समर्पण इज नॉट ए क्राइम और व्हाट, आत्महत्या ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते हैं।
आत्महत्या
खुद करना अच्छा नहीं है ऐसा, तो उस टाइम नहीं था का ये संकल्पना।
यदि आप ये क्वेश्चन पूछ रही होती कि किसी साधारण व्यक्ति के लिए, तो सेंस बनती। पर ये तो भगवान के बारे में आप पूछ रही हैं, तो भगवान के लिए तो कोई नियम ही नहीं है। वो जैसे भी जाएं संसार से, उनके लिए वो कोई क्राइम नहीं है। उन्हीं ने तो बनाया कि ये नियम, कि ये क्राइम है कि तुम आत्महत्या कर रहे हो, तो उनके लिए उनके ऊपर नियम लागू नहीं होता।
हाँ, तो वो उसको लीला करने का,
बिल्कुल लीला है वो जी।
इट इज़ माय ओनली संशय, सॉरी।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं।
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। डाउट सब
Can we listen to your
translating for her.
I hope you told her correctly. No, you did. We usually offer bhog at 5:40, so we have 20 minutes still.
ये भूत प्रेत क्या होता है?
What are bhoot and pret? They are spirits that are wandering around, and they didn't. If someone commits suicide, then that's one of the cases in which you can have your spirit wandering around, because that's a punishment for them. Someone who dies a violent death, maybe they're shocked out of the body, and so that could be the spirits are there. It's true, they are there. Spirits, they're right here, but we can't see them. I'm just guessing they're here. They're everywhere. So once that reminds me of something Maharaj Ji said. It's a true story, of course. Maharaj Ji told us a story of how he went to a certain devotee's house, and when Maharaj Ji used to go there, their daughter-in-law used to serve him food. And the family was very disturbed. When Maharaj Ji went there, he found them very disturbed, and he asked them. Maharaj Ji asked, "Kya ho raha hai? Kya baat hai?" So they said, "Maharaj Ji, our daughter-in-law is possessed by a spirit," and she was. And yes, she was. She would start speaking Sanskrit, and she didn't know Sanskrit. So when she came to serve Maharaj Ji's food, Maharaj Ji said she flung back her ghungat, because she used to be, in ghungat. She flung it back, and she started speaking to Maharaj Ji in Sanskrit, because it was a spirit of a scholar who had possessed her. The spirit wanted soul. That spirit wanted a vehicle, a body, to to enter. And so Maharaj Ji spoke to that Pandit, the Pandit soul, and then they spoke in Sanskrit. And Maharaj Ji said, why are you possessing this woman's body? And he said, because I need a vehicle to express myself, and I know who you are. I know you're divine, and I need liberation. Maharaj Ji said, well, if you know this to be the case, then you also know that you cannot attain liberation in any other form but human form. And he said, yes. And he said he was a Pandit, he was a Mathadhish. He was in charge of an ashram, but he had committed some sins due to which he got the body of this Sukshma body of a spirit. And so he's suffering. And he said, yes, I know that I can only attain liberation as a human. So Shri Maharaj Ji said, well, then he asked, what should I do now? What should I do? How do I spend my time in this yoni? Maharaj Ji said, go to holy places and go around there. Then when your time is over, when you get a human body again, then remember this mistake you made, never to make it again. So he left, the spirit left the woman's body. So Maharaj Ji did address this soul. Anji? Anji? 4 आदमी लेने के लिए आए? वो युगल कुंज से आए होंगे कि अब अटलांटा मूव हो जाओ.
मेरे को लेने आए तो मैं नहीं जाऊँगा, मेरी भक्ति रह रही है. तो कभी बात है एक खड़ा मैं खड़ा वो भी चला गया और मैं बिल्कुल नहीं निकलाया. यार वो कौन थे, सच्ची थे?
वो तो सपना ही था भैया आपका. That was a dream. इसका मतलब मैं बताऊं, इस सपने का मतलब है कि आपको अटलांटा मूव होना है युगल कुंज के आसपास. तभी
Need to listen to this more. Come on here.